Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of Fitness IRL. Today I'm going to go over a pretty interesting topic. It's not going to be that long, but it's basically how to grow muscle at home. So when you don't have huge weights, when you don't got a bunch of people telling you what to do at the gym or something like that, I'm just going to give you like 3 basic things to do so you're constantly seeing growth and progress in your body. So let's just jump right into it. Okay. So there's 3 very basic things that people sometimes misinterpret when they do their training or when they're questioning why they're not seeing growth or why they're not getting bigger. If like you're a skinny guy and you're not getting bigger, or let's say like you're a normal size guy but you're not necessarily seeing muscle growth in particular, you might be getting bigger but you're not necessarily seeing like definition increasing, but you're just slowly getting bigger, and that's maybe not what you want. So basically the 3 things go around how you're eating, if I can get my finger in camera, how you're eating, which is a huge thing. Nutrition is like the number 1 thing if you want to look better and be better. 2, we have quality of reps. So I'm going to show you guys like demonstrations of what I mean by that, like how to do a proper rep to see growth versus how to do an improper rep to maybe see strength instead. And then a 3rd thing is just progression. So how to progress properly versus how to actually hurt yourself and no longer see progression in the fact. Okay, so to jump to our first thing, we're going to be talking about nutrition. So I'm going to make this short and sweet, even though it's probably the most important thing I'm going to be talking about. It's basically maintaining and maintenance. So basically what I mean by this is when we look at increasing body mass or muscle mass, we think about how many calories we're eating. To eat enough, we have to eat more than we need to maintain. So let's say it takes a normal person 2,000 calories-ish to maintain their body weight. To then increase, we have to eat more. To do a bulk, you probably eat 500 plus in excess. For a lean bulk, which I heavily recommend, is about 300 to 500 calories more than you need to just see like a steady increase in not really fat necessarily. And then if you want to lose weight, you'll eat less. I'll make a whole different video about that because it can also really get very complicated about that. But no, so basically just to keep going with this is, so to maintain, we think about, okay, today I need to make sure I eat more than I need to maintain. And you eat 2,300 calories. Boom, done. You just hit that marker for a lean bulk. The next day you eat only 2,200. It's more, but it's not a lot more, right? Because we start getting a little less. The next day you eat 2,300. And you keep going on this weird thing. You have like one sporadic day, but that's kind of, you never really count those. And we get to the end of the week. If we go off the 2,000, right, and a 7-day week, at the end to maintain, you need 14,000 calories to maintain that much weight. At the end of the week, if you ended that week off by then only eating 15,000 calories more, that's not a huge difference, right? Because if we took the high end, or we even took the low end, of 300 calories extra each day for a 7-day week, that's 2,100 more calories by the end of the week. Henceforth, at least we should be eating 16,100 calories each week if you have to maintain 2,000 and you need 300 more just to start increasing your weight. So this is where we start getting those weird aspects where people are skinny and they start going, oh, I can't maintain weight or I can't increase weight. And I always hate when they say that because it's like, oh, are you eating this much more on a weekly basis and like per day, and not like 5,000 calories, 1,000 calories, 4,500 calories, maybe 2,000, just the maintaining. And it's like, what I would highly recommend is make sure each day you're eating roughly the same amount of calories, because your body is going to best respond to that. Because if you think about it as a sense, like you eat a bunch of calories one day and you work out, oh, you have a bunch of nutrients. The next day you're not that hungry. So then you kind of like have this like storing amount in your body. But the thing is, the day before, you might have pooped all of that out. You might have peed it out, depending on how many vitamins. Or you might have started storing that as fat. And then you eat less the next day and you work out. Your body's not going to respond as well because you have less nutrients because you were stuffed from the last day and your body doesn't really need more. So then you go on this like tipsy-topsy and it just gets very confusing, and I just don't recommend it. And then the second part is I highly recommend doing a 25-25-50 split if you're like lean bulking, which is what I mean by that. It's macros. So you eat around one, or I like to say 0.8 grams to maybe on the high end 1.5 grams of protein per day for your caloric intake. About 2 to 2.5 grams of carbohydrates per day, per pound. Not per day, per pound per day. And then the rest of that is about fat, so like about 25 to 30, depending on whatever, like how much you weigh. And that also fluctuates. You don't have to follow that specifically, and you might fluctuate that depending on how many gains you see. And I'll leave a calorie thing in the description below so you guys can just use that, go on that, and then just like do your own calculations, see what you get. But yeah, so like just quickly sum up nutrition, maintaining an increased amount of calories is how you're going to see progression, and not overfeeding yourself, right? At home, we have to make sure we're being good to ourselves, right? Because we don't want to, I'm not using supplements. Like, we want to just maintain progression, and how we're going to do that is by constantly eating more. So you eat a little more than you need to, and that weekly end goal is going to be way more than you needed for an entire week if you just maintained, because it's a sum of how much more you needed. And you don't focus on the daily thing. And I would never focus on the dailies, right? Never focus on one day at a time. For progression, focus on the end goal. And that's how you're always going to get better. And if we jump into our next part, we're going to start talking about efficiency of your reps. So quality over, no, not necessarily quantity, but it's quality of reps versus quantity of weight, we can say. And hypertrophy, I don't remember the term. I'll throw it up here. I think it's like sarcoplastic hypertrophy is what you mean when you say I want bigger muscles, right? It has to do with that pump feeling. When you say, oh, I got a huge pump because you're bigger, your muscles are filled with this fluid. Like if you're doing like a huge arm day, your arms look huge because there's so much blood and fluids pumping there, expanding out because they're trying to just like recover. And that's the type of hypertrophy that occurs when you do good time under tension and a little higher rep scheme. So like 8 to 12 is what I'm going to say is like a rep scheme for hypertrophy, because it's always a solid thing. 6 is a little low, 8 to 12 is like a good range. And time under tension is key for hypertrophy. I'm not going to say strength. Strength is a completely different thing that has to do with speed and a mind-muscle connection. Hypertrophy completely just go off of time under tension and quality of reps. So I'm going to do like just quick demonstration. So in this bicep curl that I'm doing, right, I'm going up and I'm holding it and I'm squeezing at the top and then I'm releasing slowly. I'm following, I think in this right now is like a 2 or like a 1, 2, 3, and it's like you try and go up in 1 second, maybe 2 seconds, depending how tired you are. You squeeze at the top for like 2 seconds and then you release for 3 seconds, because that's a good amount of time retention, and that's going to get blood pumping to your muscle. And that squeeze at the top is huge. Squeezing your muscle is how you're going to make your muscle grow, because it's going to specifically go to that area. And because like let's say you're doing bicep curls and you're doing them, right? But the thing is, you're not necessarily squeezing, and your shoulder might be coming up, which is fine. But the thing is, you're not squeezing. At the top, you can activate your muscle more. Like simple tip. So if I back up, touching where you're supposed to be activating is a great way to activate that muscle more, because it's a mind muscle thing. If you haven't worked out for a while and you don't know how to perfectly execute your muscles, putting like a finger on it and then like transferring that to like, okay, right here, that's when you're really going to start feeling that thing, and that's where you're going to start growing your mind muscle connection. So sum this one up. Quality of reps, time and retention. You can follow any sort of time scheme. For rep scheme, and I'll put real quickly is I would say, like, if you're doing 10 reps, to know when to finish your reps. Let's say you hit 10, when to know when to stop, or how many sets to do, not how many reps. When to know how many sets to do. Stop when you can no longer do good time under tension for that many reps. So if you only did 3 sets of 10, but they were perfect, that's how many you did. Because if the next set is then only 8, well, then you're overloading it. You're overloading how good your rep schemes are, and you're not going to get as much progress. You can always do that extra bit, but it's like you don't want to completely drain your muscle, because your next workout, depending on what kind of day you're doing, it might suck, right? So all I'm saying is good time under tension, good reps is the key to hypertrophy. And third one, see if I can do this one real quickly, is progression. And a lot of people get like tense about this, and it's for at-home reasons specifically, is because it's like, how am I supposed to get better if I don't have all this weight and all this weight at the gym that I would have, and this sucks and I can't get better? Then you're doing your stuff wrong. If you're doing push-ups, time under tension them, like I was just saying for quality of reps. If you do time under tension push-ups, those things are going to burn, and they're going to be amazing. You're going to see great like gains from that. If you are doing push-ups, well, we're still like focused on push-ups, and they're still easy, change what type of push-ups you're doing. Lift one leg up in the air. Do explosive push-ups. See if you can start training a one-arm push-up, because that's real power, and that's a real muscle growth right there. Like, do archer push-ups, where it's like you spread your arms super far apart, and like you go down on one arm, and then you'll come back up, and then you'll go down the other one's still straight out. And those are just progressions. Like if you're doing back exercises, and it's like, oh, you don't have a lot of weight, see if you can get a pull-up bar, first of all, because those are amazing. Or do really good like flex exercises. Like one is a snow angel, which I'll show right here, and it's like you go up all the way around, and you keep this like amazing tension, and it hurts, and then you slowly release it, and you start getting that hypertrophy aspect, and it's going to kill because of how long you have to hold it for. The amount of reps you do isn't going to be that high if you're including other exercises in it. So to make sure you still see that progression, that growth, make your body weight exercises, make your little, like if you only have little weight exercises, more difficult. Time under tension it. Try and isolate it even more, that muscle specifically. Reduce how much other movement you're doing. Squeezing at the top. Again, time and attention. Just searching up more difficult exercises, how you're going to get better. Like, I don't have like a giant list of different exercises for you right now, but search them up. There's tons. I will say some that you do see, don't follow. I might make a video like amazing or harder bodyweight exercises. But for now, just focus on finding ones that work for you, find ones that are difficult for you, and work with them until they're too easy. Then check if you're doing good quality reps with them, because if you aren't, then that might be why you're actually not seeing muscle growth, because you're rushing through too many stuff. And you might actually be injuring yourself if, like, for example, you're trying to do pistol squats and you're doing them terribly. Your knees like out of line, your hips aren't in line with yourself, and you're going to create too many imbalances. You're going to create knee issues for yourself, and it's just not going to be worth it at the end. So to sum it up, guys, the 3 ways to get bigger at home are the same 3 ways you get bigger at a gym, to be frank. Nutrition is the main part. Like if like this screen like resembled everything, 80% of the screen would be nutrition, is how you're going to get better goals or bigger muscles. The last like 20% involve both progression and quality of reps. Probably quality of reps a little more, but progression is like that end piece, because to keep getting better. But anyways, it has to do with quality of reps, is then in turn going to make sure you focus on hypertrophy and not strength. You're not going too fast. You're not focusing on that power output. You're not doing muscular endurance. Like you're not cranking out 100 push-ups, because that has to do with muscular endurance. So you'll get a pump, but it's a different aspect. You're not specifically muscle growth, if that's what you're looking for. And then progression is making sure it's difficult, making sure those reps are counting and those reps hurt. Those if you're doing 30 reps and they're like, oh, that was fine. Pain to a certain extent is bad, but if you're not feeling literally anything, then you got to change something. And change is good. Changing your workout will give your body less time to adapt, because that might also be an issue. So change, quality of reps, good nutrition is how you guys are going to get bigger at home. And to be frank, that is fitness in your life. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, comment something you guys want me to do next. I'll see you guys in the next video.